are you proving there to us?
Hi, how are you, Carla?
No.
I'm Carla with a K. Are you Carla with a K too?
Guess what? I am, and it's very rare to find another Carla with a K.
Especially on this side of the pond. But if you're still on this side of the pond with me, especially this side of the pond, because we're on still the same side of the pond. But
Well, this side of the pond, I just like to go to the mall every day, and I like the Kardashians.
wow, that's a really nice like English accent, kind of. Good job, Carla with a K.
Well, welcome, listeners and viewers. This is Two Karlas with a K. And the reason that we're doing this podcast is Carla and I love politics. We love just talking about all the current events, but also putting our little slant on it. It can be a bit funny. And I think you're going to enjoy it. I think we're going to make it a bit fun for you.
We also love kimonos.
We love kimonos. Look at Carla. Can I just say, only posh people wear kimonos.
Yeah. Carla forgot her kimono today. It's okay. Whatever. Next time.
Not posh enough.
It's totally posh because you got the accent, girl.
Carla wears kimonos probably because her family were middle class. They had lasagna in the 80s when it wasn't a thing. They went on holiday to Europe. She played the piano. Probably did ballet dancing. Read all the classics.
That's what Carlas do, right?
Yeah, went to see the Nutcracker every Christmas. Yeah, basically that's kimono people. So you're posh, Carla. It's official.
I'm a kimono person official. Thank you, Carla. So anyway, so what's going on in the world with you, Carla? Like what's like happening in your world? What made your world rock this week?
Oh my goodness. Where shall we start, Carla? So much is going on in the world, and I don't know how not to make our listeners and viewers not be depressed. I mean, it's that bad, isn't it? But anyway, I'm gonna try and make it fun. So hold on, I'm just gonna add our nice little PowerPoint. You like this?
So let's start off with some Chris Hedges.
Yes.
Fully. Let's not get depressed about the world right now. Let's listen to some Chris Hedges. Thank you, Carla.
So
very positive. Very positive.
So everyone, Chris Hedges he's my boyfriend. He doesn't know it yet, but he is my boyfriend. But basically I adore him because he is so smart. He's a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist for the New York Times, and eventually lost his job over the war in Iraq because he actually dared to say the truth and was outspoken about it. And he became a bit of a pariah in the press darlings. But then he stayed true to himself, and he continued being a journalist, and he's written many great books. One of them I urge you to read it's called America, the Farewell Tour. And Carla, I thank my dear American friend Carla for introducing me to Chris Hedges. So
I know, I saw him speak here in Seattle. It was so the coolest thing ever. Like ever. I know. I'm just trying to make you jealous because
did he wear one of his 80s yellow leather jacket, members only jackets?
Like it was hot, I think. So he was wearing a
suit.
It was wearing a jacket. He was wearing a leather jacket. And it was hot. It was hot. It was so hot. And I saw him, and I didn't talk to him, but
yeah, he wears his very yeah. Probably in the next podcast we'll have pictures of his many leather jackets because it's a thing.
He's had many.
It's a thing. But anyway,
a man of many leather jackets, a man of many, and just like so many great things to say about the world, and depressing things to say too.
A man of mystery.
Yes. This article he just wrote, I thought was very like it popped up on my feed right away, and I was like, "Holy shootness!"
Well, Chris Hedges said it the best. So, Carla, where do we start? The political pandemic, the new pandemic is.
Yeah, so the political pandemic is now it's pretty much, according to Chris Hedges, it's the return of fascism, which is, we've been seeing that for a while here in the United States, with the rise of with Trump apparently, and now we're seeing it like all over Europe. We're seeing it in Czech Republic, we're seeing it in Finland, we're seeing it in Sweden, we're seeing it in Spain, Italy. Just recently, it was, Hillary Clinton apparently has applauded Meloni, this woman who's now considered a fascist, who she's going to get 60% of the vote in Italy. Hillary Clinton said, "Oh, good thing a woman broke the glass ceiling on that one." I'm like,
Oh
okay, that's great, Hillary. But but what it comes down to is the whole situation is very complex, I think. Especially if you look at this article by Chris Hedges, because what he's talking about now is that he goes back and talks about the rise of fascism in Nazi Germany. And in 1928, pretty much like it was mostly like workers and things, people were doing well. In 1929, like the economics started to shift down and the oligarchy started to take control of stuff. And that's when people got like really desperate and started looking for an answer to stuff. And that's how Nazism actually kind of got started. And we're seeing that here in the United States. We're seeing that all over the fucking world right now. I shouldn't have said that word. Sorry.
no, you should, because actually, Carla, it's very, very serious, and you're right.
No, but it's like, I think it comes down to like neoliberalism, and we're seeing the fact that like we have the top 2%, 1% now are making all the money, and we're seeing the actual suffering that's happening. We see it here in Seattle. We see the homeless people all over the city. We live in a city where Jeff Bezos like pretty much owns almost everything, and we're seeing like one of the richest cities in the United States here in Seattle, and we have so much homelessness everywhere.
Absolutely.
And we're seeing LA, New York, the big cities everywhere, and then also we see too that there's like the wealth distribution is completely out of control, and this pandemic that just happened right now, the tech companies, Jeff Bezos, Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, all these people has made like the biggest they do the most money ever.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when we see that, it's like so in one way I feel like, yeah, I can see how people are feeling very fucked over, and I feel also like that it could be the right, it could be left feeling the same way. It's going to be the people that are marginalized.
Well, it's always been this way in history. When you have the working classes that, working classes they're always going to vote left wing, and in some ways I consider myself working class because I'm not a multi-billionaire, so but I mean mostly working class people,
right, exactly,
they're going to vote left because presumably the left are going to take care of the working classes and the middle class. But when that doesn't happen, and when the left turns its back on the working class actually swing to the right. And it's happened throughout history. And so it's actually really shocking when we think of the neoliberals in power in America, even in England, I would say. And they're smart. They've got, but they, in some ways, they have not taken any lessons from history and not realized if you do not listen to your base, which is the working class, they're going to find other means. They're going to go the exact opposite. And
exactly.
As Chris Hedges said, fascist leaders, people like Meloni, I can't remember the far right party in Sweden who the leader is of that, but they will promise, it's almost like he says magical thinking, that they will make your dreams come true. And the
Well, it's
real,
like Trump, same thing with Trump.
yeah.
He
And
promised everyone all this stuff. He said he basically won because he promised everyone he's going to get rid of like NAFTA and this and that and like the bad trade wars and all the stuff that was going on and everything. And what did he do? He did the opposite.
yeah,
He did the opposite. He played the game. He gave all his buddies the tax cuts. He did nothing. That's why I don't trust this Maloney lady. The Maloney lady.
oh, you shouldn't.
Um,
uh,
I
you know
know, but she's saying right now that she's advancing kind of like she's kind of giving signaling that she's going against the economic forum and the elites. She's saying that she's going against those people. Yeah, she's also for she's very pro Ukraine war, giving money to them. And I feel like she's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And but she's also very blatant about it too, like kind of like Trump. So I feel like she's like
Yeah.
pretty much a Trump person. She's pretty much like Trump, a female Trump. She's very like
scary because she's already ordered the Italian Coast Guard, I guess what it is to basically, block any immigrants in their waters, basically, from coming into the country. I think it's going to be really scary. I'd be really frightened right now if I was an immigrant, especially from Africa. And it's really frightening. And the weird thing is, Italy has one of the lowest birth rates in the world. And actually, a couple of years ago, they were suffering from they had such a small workforce, and it was actually affecting their economy. So actually, having immigrants was bringing about that there's more workers, they can create. It's better for trade and industry, and it's quite, I don't know though, it's so hard to say that really.
right. I mean, I did hear that in Italy too, like they've have like their economy has like fallen, so one of the hardest economies to fall in Europe. I
Yeah,
mean, they had to struggle with the COVID situation, the lockdowns, like they were very locked down.
this has been going.
And that like I think it really affected their economy like
Yeah,
majorly.
but this was before. This has been going on for years in Italy. They were heading towards this. They were in trouble for years, and nobody wanted to talk about it. Our media didn't want to talk about it. The EU didn't want to talk about it. Let's talk about, because the danger is, yes, when you fall on your feet, you're going to go completely politically off the spectrum. You're going to, it's we've seen it. We've seen this happen in history. And you could say the same of World War II. I mean, Britain saw, the rise of fascism happen in Germany and France and all the European leaders. Even America, we did nothing. We did nothing. Didn't think it would happen.
I mean, apparently, according to I think Chris Hedges, your boyfriend, or maybe Glenn Greenwald also, after like World War II, I mean, we actually kept a lot of these people with as far as like spies and stuff, and like coupled them into the CIA and stuff like that.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's like the United States did that stuff. And it's like, okay, like, so where does this end? Like, what's going on here? Like, now we are in this weird, like, kind of insanity. And that's how we get this whole entire, like, people spying on everyone all the time. And no one trusts anybody. And no one trusts the CIA. No one trusts the FBI. Like, there's no trust in, like the FDA, the CIA, the WHO, like there's like no trust. Like I think they're trying to like create like almost like there's no trust in any kind of like.
And that's where you can totally take advantage of people. And actually Chris says that because he said, QAnon is kind of like things like that are a precursor to far right kind of movements.
Exactly. I mean, that's exactly what that does.
because the Nazis were a bit cultish. Well, they are cultish. I mean, they were, yeah.
Well, like what's interesting too about like what Chris had just said about that is like that. I mean, I think so like that was so interesting. It's like they were kind of like moving along, like the Germans as far as like they're, and then as soon as like things started to get like a little tight, they like started blaming they started like blaming the other person, blaming your neighbor. And that's I think what's happening right now with the United States and with the world. They want us to blame our neighbor and to blame. They want these divisions. They want divisions. They want us to be divided, whether it's us
Do you
and
blame me
them.
for your poor dating life? I mean, I'm your neighbor. I'm an immigrant.
I know. I'm just saying that like, that's what I think the powers that be want us to be divided. Yes,
Yes.
Carla. You're Carla with a K, and you've got different colors of skin. And I mean,
it's your fault.
Mine. We should be divided and conquer. We should conquer and divide. I don't
dare you. How dare we have different skin color, and different accents, and different hair.
I know. My hair is so straight.
It's so silly. It's such a terrible distraction, and we fall into it.
But I do think that I really do think that we want I think the powers, I think the elite in the world want us to be divided. They want us to hate each other. And I think that there's, I mean, what we should be really doing is hating the elite. They're the ones causing the problems. They're the ones like causing the wars. They're the ones that are like doing the bad stuff in the world. And we should be like, I feel like this whole like they're like, just you guys hate each other for a while and like we'll do our good stuff. We'll do the things that are going to help us make more money.
I agree.
And I just feel like I really don't like want to be involved in a culture war anymore. I don't want to be involved in that at all. I just feel like I want to be like, hey, you know, if I go to a rural place in Washington where we live, you know, I don't want to be like, oh, you're a Trumper or whatever. I just want to be like, hey, you're a person, you're a human being. And like maybe we don't agree with stuff or maybe we do. But like I don't want to like hate people. That's my deal. I don't.
I agree. Well, it's a good distraction. But you were saying going on to Chris Hedges, he did this amazing quote, which Carla is going to American Carla is going to read it out for us.
Okay, I'll read it in British accent. Thank you. My best British accent. The brilliance of Bill Clinton was that he transformed the Democratic Party into the Republican Party, and he pushed the Republican Party so far to the right they became insane.
Yes,
it wasn't very good.
No,
I don't know what kind of accent that was. It's not a very good one. That was a hybrid of every British accent I can even think of. Sorry, Carla. I apologize.
But it was. I mean,
but no. But this is a very true. This is so true. A true quote of what's going on in the world right now, and why we fight. You and me, we fight all the time. You're like, Carla, they're crazy, and I'm like, but the Democrats are Republicans now.
I actually disagree with Chris Hedges in a way, because I actually think this started with Reagan. Actually, it probably started with Nixon.
You're right. You could be right. You actually could be right about that.
Actually, it started with Nixon, I think.
I think you should actually call Chris Hedges right now.
Yes, he'd love
like be like, yeah.
No, I do disagree.
I'll be like, hey, Chris Hedges, like Carla with a K, British Carla has a problem with your quote.
I do, because I think this is Bill Clinton, just as Chris Hedges says that Trump is a symptom. He's a symptom of this malaise and anger that's been happening for years. But this, I blame Reagan. Reagan was when they're really
crazy,
capitalized on the, you know, where the Americans became so divided. And actually Thatcher, his best friend, also did the same. So the Labour Party and the Conservative Party were extremely polarized and, you know, fighting against each other from the 80s, probably even from the 70s, but it became worse I think, in the 80s, and it was about money. I think Reaganomics was, well, let's pretend let's pretend let's pretend that we're the poor people are doing really well under our economic model of consumerism. We're not gonna produce anything. We're gonna kill all the trade and all the industries, and we're gonna make people buy things, and they're gonna think they're really, really rich because they're gonna have all this stuff.
Right. Well, it's trickle down. That was trickle down in economics, and then we had like NAFTA with Bill Clinton.
Yes,
NAFTA,
yes,
the terrible trade deals that destroyed the United States.
yes, and the
And
world, and the world.
yeah, and the world for sure, and the world. And yeah, it's like, and it's so funny because you look at what happened with COVID, and when we like couldn't find like for a while when no one was like, we need masks and gloves and stuff, and it was like, oh, we don't have them here because we don't make them here because China has them all. And I remember like before everything was happening and I was super paranoid about COVID, I was like, I was the person that like before anyone was paranoid about COVID, I was like in January of 2020, before it was March of 2020, I was like, I saw it was happening in China and shit. I was like, shit, I gotta get like gloves and like hand sanitizer and all this stuff. And I was like, I go to the store and stuff, like, oh yeah, China's bought all the stuff from like United States already. Like they're hoarding stuff from here. I was like, what? Like, we don't even make it here. And then when it came down to the deal, it was like, oh yeah, we don't make that stuff here. They make it in China. We're screwed. We have nothing here. Like,
The
and
American
how,
flag
like,
is made in China.
huh?
Even the American flag is made in China.
I know, exactly. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I
So
was like, okay, so how could we like? Oh, how about if we could just make stuff here? What happened to that thing? And that was like, that was to me Bill Clinton's like downfall. NAFTA. I
yeah,
mean, Reagan started it, but NAFTA I think really sealed the deal
sealed the
in my
deal.
mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
On that really happy note, I'm gonna get even more depressing, Carla.
okay. Oh God, what's next on the agenda?
Winter is coming. And it's not Game of Thrones, which I don't watch, but I know Carla does. But
I was
it's
gonna put a game. I want to put a Game of Thrones thing up there, but I couldn't. I couldn't find. They're all like, we have to pay money to put that up there. Like it'd be like, I don't know. They'd be like, oh, you're going to like have to pay some money to have the Game of Thrones thing on there.
well, it is going to be a winter of discontent for my fellow countrymen, the British
So
people.
I heard that there are pubs in London that cannot pay their energy bill right now.
Oh my
They're
goodness!
having to close down. Also, I heard too that the most Googled um thing in Germany right now is firewood.
Oh my,
Firewood. Firewood in Germany.
yeah, it's not
Because like they're not because of
not
the
good.
sanctions with Russia
Yeah,
and the Ukraine war. This is having some amazing crazy effects with UK, and we saw it here in the United States as well with the gas prices, which they are going up again. I don't know if you saw that they're going up again now, but also with Europe in general, it's going to be like a very cold
because
winter,
it's
cold
it
winter.
so yeah, so this is to do with the war in Ukraine, and I know it's very easy to blame everything on that war right
Okay,
now.
one more thing. There are different countries that are saying that you are going to have to like only have a certain like you could have your thermostat at a certain degree, or they're going to turn it off. They're going to turn off stop signs, and like if you're driving like at a certain time of night, they're going to turn the stop signs or lights off to save energy in like different parts of like Northern Europe.
Shocking. Well,
I
it's going to
mean,
be bleak. It's going to be
anyway,
very, very bleak and grim this
and
winter.
it could be cold.
Yeah, it's going to be bloody cold. I'm doing a really bad northern accent right now, but yeah, it's going to be bad. The pound is at an all-time low. It
Yeah,
is its lowest. It is now at the equivalent of the US dollar. That's never happened.
let's go to UK
Let's
and Europe now.
let's go to England. We can just like buy lots of
I know
dirt.
Sammy is like everyone's having a great time. All my American friends are having a great time in Europe, and they're like, "Hey, everything's so cheap." I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah, I'm just gonna
how
buy,
fun!" But don't
buy
stay there that long.
chocolate. But no, it's. I mean, I'm absolutely really sad because this is going to affect. there's probably like, especially like the old people, elderly, a lot of people are probably not going to make it this winter, because they're going to have no heating. Um,
Yeah, I mean, this is like major, right?
oh, it's major. They even have a lottery where if you win, you get your, I guess, your gas bill, your heating bill paid for like a couple
It's
of.
like, yeah, it's like a spin the wheel thing. We
Oh,
spin the
it's
wheel,
so
right?
bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you spin the wheel, and it's like, oh, your gas paid, or you get $2,000, £2,000 or £1,000, or your energy paid for like two, and then everyone's energy paid for that much longer. That's how crazy it is.
Really frightening. So yeah, this is really I think in some ways, and I'm probably looking at Britain with rose tinted glasses, but I do think the Brits are very resilient people, and I think they will get through it. The Brits will get through it, but it's going to be it's going to be very, very tough. It's going to be like the 70s again. So it's going to change. Yeah, I mean, also I think
Yeah.
now the effects of Brexit have just hit Britain now, and they said the financial pundits always said Britain's going to go into an economic collapse. A couple of give it a couple of years, and they will, and Britain has lost billions from leaving the EU because the Brits were lied to, and it's now we're seeing those effects, and it's. Well, we'll have to see what happens. We'll have to see what happens to jolly old Blighty. So,
I heard, Carla, sorry to interrupt you, but I heard that the way the British, like the markets work as far as like mortgages, that they're going to increase by like 15% in the next, like I don't know, like 4 or 5 years. And it's like a huge jump because like normally, like, mortgages are fixed, and especially here in the United States, you can actually, sometimes if you don't have a fixed one, they can go up. But and from what I heard, I'm not sure this is true or not, but if you have a mortgage in UK, that there's not that, you just, it goes with the markets.
yeah, yeah.
So now that the now the markets are going to go up so high that people might be able to lose their homes
Oh
because they
my.
can't be able to pay the high price of the that going up so much. Is that
So,
true?
I don't know. I didn't hear about that. But um,
Yeah, I mean, I just read about that, so I'm not sure, but it sounds like it could be sort of a devastating sort of situation for people who may not be able to afford to stay in their home in the UK.
oh, we're going to see some serious poverty, and politically, this will probably spell the end of the Tories. The Conservative Party. Now, the Chancellor of Exchequer, the new Chancellor of Exchequer, he actually lowered taxes so that, but it would basically just benefit the rich. So the rich would get all these tax breaks, which will be brilliant for them. But
Hmm.
that by doing so as well, that also now the listeners and viewers tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that also lowered the pound as well.
Hmm.
Um, but he's getting a lot of pushback for making that decision. So yeah, I don't know. We'll have to have one of my friends on, Denise, who's an economist, and she co-wrote an amazing book called The Myth of Capitalism. Denise,
Ooh.
yeah, she's my neighbor. We have to have her on because she's got some very good ideas about how the poor, because we're all the poor. We're being made to think we're middle class, but we're not.
No, we're not the 1%, and they are the ones who are running everything right now.
But there
And
are
the
more.
World Economic Platform is like doing like so much damage right now, or trying to.
Well, there's more of us than there are of the oligarchs. So
Thank you for being positive.
well, Denise has some great ideas. She has some really good ideas about how we could bring down the system without any being which it would be very easy to do without having to resorting to guillotining people as the French did.
I want that. Guillotine.
So
I want the guillotine.
gotta have her in there. We gotta have her here. Next topic. Proxy
Oh.
crime. Okay. Carla, explain.
Oh, so my whole thing, like everyone's like everyone, a lot of people here in Seattle and all these like very like blue states here, or blue cities, I should say, blue cities have the Ukraine flag like everywhere. And I'm not against like that at all. I feel like, okay, like what Putin did was bad, but also like, I feel like it's a very nuanced situation. And I also feel like the fact that the United States is now spending 80 has now spent 80 billion dollars. $80 billion. $80 billion.
I can't fathom. You know this could help.
$80 billion. That's like insane amounts of money to give to Ukraine for weapons, and mostly it's weapons, and there's some humanitarian shit in there too. But also like that's like we also cannot feed our own people. So this quote right here, I can read it if you want. It is now considered patriotic to watch the poor and the working class of our country struggle to survive while our government gives billions to the most corrupt country in Europe to fight a war that our politicians have been trying to start for years.
Oh, this is absolutely true. It's absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, this is goes down to the Minsk agreement.
Exactly, the Minsk. You know the Minsk agreement. No one knows that. Everyone talked to you in the United States didn't even know that word. Like the Minsk agreement. Like, oh, thank you for knowing that word.
Don't know the Minsk agreement? Google it, and you'll realize why there is a war in the Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly.
It could have been prevented. That's not saying that Putin isn't a crazy megalomaniac, insane sociopath, because he is. But this has also been in the works for years and years and years. And for anyone who's been following this closely, knows, like, it's not surprised. I mean, another one of my dear boyfriends, Noam Chomsky, has been blacklisted because he's been very vocal about this proxy war. Carla, can you explain why it's called a proxy war?
Oh, well, basically because the United States wants to pretty much destroy Russia. And they're using Ukraine as cannon fodder. So that's pretty much what's going on. It's like the proxy war is that we're going to do this kind of fake war with the Ukraine thing, whatever, this thing with the Ukraine and Russia, and but also the people in Ukraine are going to die, and that's not good. And also, it's just not good for even them or Russia or anybody.
Yeah.
And yeah, the proxy war means that like mostly like we want to destroy Russia.
Yeah.
Anything Russia has going on, we're going to destroy them at all costs of any kind of people. And to me, that's a bad thing. You don't just do that and just kill people.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the USA always needs an enemy. You know, as part of being the greatest country in the world, is there's always this threat to being the greatest power in the world, and this, any country that looks like they're going to take over that crown must be suppressed. And I mean, we're going to see it with China. And China. I mean, China is not. I mean, it's done some awful things, especially to the Uyghurs, and I mean, it considers itself communist, but it's not communist. It's a dictatorship. But I will say one thing about China: it's never actually invaded any countries.
And who's the U.S. invaded? Everyone. Like United States has invaded so many countries.
Yeah.
They've done so much stuff. I was like, we've done way more than China. You're correct on that one. I mean, and also like Russia hasn't done that much stuff either. I mean, we've done way more.
I mean, Russia's always just stuck to well, now it's the former Soviet Union. But it is it's so nuanced, this war.
It
It's
is. I mean, there's the Donbass region and the Odessa region. I mean, I go to the Banya here in Tacoma, or not here in Tacoma, in Tacoma, and I talk to the people there, and it's like it's a very nuanced situation over there. It's like they're like, oh, we have family here, we have family there. It's like, I mean, they're the people who live in these regions are they feel they're Russian. They do. They feel that they're Russian people, and so it's like and they've been terrorized for a little while um, by Ukrainians, which we installed this weird regime in 2014 with the Minsk, and we destroyed the Minsk agreement thing, do this weird stuff. So it's like I don't know. It's a very new, like you said, nuanced situation.
and our media are doing a terrible job of reporting on this war in a non-biased way. It's
And
become
even I think as do you would you say the UK media is doing the bad job too?
yes. I
Okay, good, because I
yeah,
really want to make sure that our media is doing as bad a job as your media is doing too. It's like
yeah,
our media is doing an awful job.
yeah, and
I'm
it's
just like I'm just like normally I'm like, oh, actually the BBC is actually not so great either, right?
I mean, I love the Beeb, but yeah, it's not, and
Well,
it's.
I mean, it's like I used to love like NPR kind of thing, and I'm like, oh, they're not doing a great job either.
I think you've got to give this one time. It's going to be like Iraq, where it's not going to be until years later that we realize really the true story.
Well,
I think,
yeah, exactly. So we're not getting information, really good information from either side. There's what we're not getting, like we're getting information on one side, information on the side. No one's getting all the information.
and
There's
that's
no one going to both sides getting there's not journalists going back and forth, back and forth. You're
and I think
getting true
that's
story.
exactly,
So,
like, I mean, I do not want to take away from the fact that innocent people have died in this war, and it's heartbreaking. I mean, I don't want to understate that. I mean, it's awful, and Putin is a disgusting human being. The what I wish is that journalism should we should know the full story, why this happened, what was leading up to it, with NATO, with the US basically building this wall around Russia to make
right.
it
I
feel
mean,
threatened, you know.
yeah, I mean, we have Aaron Mate, my boyfriend, my personal boyfriend, has written a ton about on this subject, a lot, and he talks about the entire history of what happened, the Minsk agreement, what's going on here and what's going on there, and he's actually like people accuse him of being like a Putin puppet. He's like, no, he's just saying the facts of what's going on here. But also, like, he will never be like accepted in the mainstream media of what's actually happening. They will never invite him on to MSNBC to talk about what's happening because they want this certain like caged view of what's happening with what they want the American people to see. So
Yeah.
that's the problem I have with the mainstream media.
Hmm.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't want anyone to die. I don't want anyone to more die. I want this war, and also the thing with this war right now, which I really want to say, is that there apparently was a time at around maybe April when there were talks between Zelensky and the Russian Federation, Putin, about like some kind of peace agreement and some kind of because it's mostly about this Donbass region, which is mostly Russian, and the Odessa region, and it goes back to the Minsk agreement, of course. But there was some talks about that there was supposed to be some kind of peace agreement or some kind of like something that's going to happen, and then the United States
The United
said,
States.
no, 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 no. We need to make some more money off this war. And they
And
said, your little buddy, he's not your buddy anymore because he got kicked out and shit. But Boris, little Boris guy, little big Trump guy. And he walked over and he said, oh yeah, like, no, you can't do this because you don't do this, like, we won't support you anymore. Boris Johnson.
well, we
And there was a little meeting he went around, I think it was around April when he did that. And that's been like kind of documented a little bit. And also now they're saying that maybe like, I don't know, Putin said no, who says no. But I mean, the thing is, like, it is in the interest of the security state and the military industrial complex to have this war go on so they can make as much money as they can fucking make. And that's my deal.
Mic drop from Carla.
What?
Mic drop. Okay. Oops.
Oh God.
Are you going to be all right? Well, I feel like one of those like really kind of like cheesy news shows where you have like a really sad subject and you're like, here's a funny cat. So I kind of landed that.
Thank you, Carla. Thank you for that so much. It's like that's actually my worst thing. I was like, oh, like the guy that I thought was like really cute, the cute like he had the cute tattoo and stuff and whatever, and he was like had the dad bod. I was like, oh, I might have a boyfriend now. Oh no, I don't. Because he's fucking lame. Whatever. He's a dumbass.
Actually, that body is actually better than most of the guys I've dated. So, oh, it says a lot about
just
me.
when you see it jiggle, just jiggle. It's worse when you see it jiggle. It's like,
but yes. Yes, me and Carla, we've had some dating woes, dating woes, dating disasters. And if anyone can give us some advice, we'd gladly take it. But we are seeing kind of a weird trend, I think, with we're both Gen Xers. I'd like to pass for a millennial, but
I would like to date a millennial, but like I'm just like I'm too young. I feel like I relate more with millennial men, and I'm just like,
oh, there's so much.
I don't know, lady.
Yeah, but I do feel that there is a troubling trend with the Gen X men, and poor
with the Gen X dad bod thing, yeah, with the tattoos, yeah.
What it is well, in America, the Gen X men, their dads went to Vietnam and came back, and they were all really, they were just emotionally torn apart, and so these poor Gen X guys probably suffered from not having like a really great male role models. They had their baby boomer dads that were still a little bit misogynist and homophobic and racist and what have you. And even though we like to think that we were a lot more kind of progressive than our parents, I think Gen X men still carry some of the scars from their parents. And they definitely are not very emotionally intelligent or open. And I would say dating, there are times where a Gen X guy could say, you're not my cup of tea, but no, they're not. They're going to disappear for a while, have their cake and eat it, and then if it doesn't work, they'll come back. All without.
Oh my god, you're so much better. You like, analyze it so much more than me because I just dipped off for like 7 years. It was like my 7-year itch basically. I was like, I'm just not going to date for 7 years. And so it was like I watched you date for a while. I was like, yeah, that's fucking like you're crazy. Those people are insane. Like fuck you, that's assholes. And then I fucking finally decided to date, and like I let my guard down for half a fucking second, and I was like, oh yeah, a fucking asshole.
Oh, Carla.
Thank God I didn't have that one.
Carla, I think the universe was telling you that this guy was a serial killer, and if you'd continued to go out with him.
I think he was just like a serial dater. He's all into like the kill. Like, oh yeah, serial dater. He just wanted the thrill of the beginning. He's into that.
Oh no, they get really
I kill you with your my like I don't like you anymore. That's how they kill you.
There is
I kill you.
Well, it's
you're right. He's a serial dater killer.
They start very strong, don't they? They start
serial dater killer. That's it.
Yeah. Wow, we should have used that as a caption. But they do start off very strong. They'll start sending you little songs. Oh, thinking of you. Oh, good night. Sleep tight. Oh,
yeah, the bed bugs bite.
Oh, hello, beautiful. Was just thinking of you, hearing the
Good
birds.
morning.
All this, and then give it like 2 weeks, and you start hearing crickets.
Yeah.
And it's all of a sudden you're just like, oh, okay. And then us women, what we do is we blame ourselves. So we'll go to our girlfriends and go, yeah, it's got to be me. Like, I don't know what I did. Maybe I said something. Maybe it was that movie that I took him to see. And I don't know, like maybe
I never should have taken the Moonish Daydream movie. That was awful.
I should never have put that like shampoo in my hair because it smelled a bit weird. And like, he didn't like it and he didn't tell me, or like, we start like doing this and then we start blaming ourselves when really it's bad behavior. And these guys are on the dating carousel. They've got a couple of girls on the go and they've obviously like they're dating someone else, just haven't told us because we're the backup. Put us on the little, the back burner.
We
That's what.
also don't need the Gen X dad bod at all.
But I think a lot of Gen X.
No, we don't want that.
But I think a lot of Gen X men think they're really, really good looking. Like they're in their 50s and 60s. They have no hair, they have no teeth, they've got pot bellies, they've got terrible fashion, but they do think that somehow they're entitled to have Cindy Crawford or Linda Evangelista, because I have to think of people or Kate Moss or whoever, but they're entitled to get these really hot women, notwithstanding that, they obviously think they're in that same league, So there are some serious there are some problems. I mean, we need to hear from a guy. We need to hear from the guy's perspective. We want to know what the women are doing.
Yeah. What is your take on Gen X women, guys? We want to hear your
They probably think we're all bitter and mean and angry and
we're not bitter and mean and angry. You just want to know. We're just like, okay, like, yeah, we have the Gen X bad dad bob. Like, we're not that mean. We are, but we kind of are that mean. We're mean. Sorry. We have to be. We're kind of mean.
You're kind of mean. But I will give a message to all the Gen X guys. Because you know what? The millennials and the Gen Z guys and non-binary, and because it's all like, what I love about the younger generations is they're not defining who they are sexually, and it's about loving the person, and that's their own. But I will say, with our generation, now I forgot what I was going to say. I think it's a menopause brain.
Don't do the Gen X dad bod thing.
It's the dad bod thing. I forgot what I was going to say.
It's okay. You can do that. But I don't mind your dad bod. Just don't be a fucking asshole. How about that? How about I would like your dad bod? Just don't be a fucking prick. Don't fucking lie to me. Don't lie to me for a week. How about that?
I just think, I don't know. I just think there's just so much entitlement and like, oh, that's what I was going to say. Sorry about that. It was like guys don't want to go and chat a woman up anymore. And I hear men say, oh, well, I'm going to come across as creepy, or, I don't want to be rejected. Well, I'm sorry, you're a guy. All right. You don't have babies. You don't have periods. So you know what? You can go in a bar and you can ask us out. And if we say no, then suck it up.
I like that.
Right?
Yeah, they just fucking have periods of children. They don't birth. They're whatever.
We're having all that.
Staying on territory that we may not want to get into right now, Carla, because like things are like weird, but whatever.
Well, honestly, we got to have a full-time job. We got to have raised children. We've got to look really hot. We got to do all these things. And the guys, what do they do? What have they got to do? They just turn up with their silly band T-shirts and, going to their little Seahawks games or their soccer games and drinking craft beer and just there's not a lot expected of a Gen X.
Oh, I feel really uncomfortable like right now with this this situation.
I
You got it better. You're on the upper.
I know I can't even watch that now without. But honestly,
it was funny though. It was funny. It was funny. I was like, I'm getting done with this. Like,
oh, so
I was like, that was not appealing.
But I have to say that I mean, there's so many brilliant women, especially in the podcast world, like Katie Halper and, you know,
Brianna Joy Gray.
Gray. Crystal Ball's already taken, so she's like she bagged someone. But I think there's these amazing women, and we're single, and you know, probably a lot of these guys will say, yeah, because you're too smart.
That's mostly smart.
I don't know. Maybe they just want a Kardashian and call it a day. Who knows?
What?
Look at Carla. Carla got off her chair.
Almost.
Talk about the Kardashians. Like, well.
Oh my butt.
But anyway, I did have. I will tell you. I know we're coming towards the end. I was given a really great piece of dating advice from a guy, from a Gen X guy, my friend. And his advice was, so I have a crush on this guy who goes to my gym. He shall not be named. And I've looked at his fingers. He's got no rings, so it's like he doesn't look married, but you never know, you know. And my friend said I should go up to him and say, would anyone kill me if I asked you out for a drink? That's my chat up line. Oh, Carla's like, it needs some work.
I need to make sure I know who this guy is first.
Well, maybe I need that line. Maybe he was saying, is anybody going to kill me if I ask you out for a drink? And I actually thought that was quite funny, but now I've realised that I'm looking at your face and it did not go well.
I don't know, because it's such a small community. I just need to know who you're talking about. I really just need to know.
Say anything more, because we live in.
I think it's a romantic. I should do it. You should do it.
All I can say is got very good gym clothes, and we have gym questions at the beginning of all of our fitness classes. And
okay, what time do you go to the gym so I can like spy on you?
Oh, you'll fancy him.
I'm not gonna fancy him, but I just want to see like what's going on there. I want to like.
He's got really good gym clothes.
I must know this person.
Well, if you do, you should definitely put in a good word.
Well, I mean, but I just feel like I should know this person.
Well, he's got really good gym clothes. He has an electric bike. And that's what I'm saying, because I've got verbal diarrhea. It's going to come out.
I think you should definitely do it. Like, do it for sure. But like, maybe like if you want like security first, you should let me check him out first.
Oh no, definitely. It would be great if he listened to this podcast. He'd know exactly who he was. But he is quite lovely, and he has not got a Gen X dad bod. He's got a soccer player's body. He's in his 50s.
I love the soccer player like non-dad bod thing.
Yeah. And he was very impressed because we had to do a gym question, and my question, and it was, what's your favorite board game? And I said Trivial Pursuit, and he almost salivated. So he likes smart girls. Yes.
Yes. Those are the best. They're the best.
And then Carla's advice is it was about this terrible man who shall not be named, but he's the one that sent a profuse amount of texts and then radio silence, and then we were thinking about what message do we send this man without giving him any attention and making him think that we're an emotional tizzy. And I'm saying we because I was totally there for you, Carla. So but I can't remember, but I will give an advice to everyone. men and women, is when dealing with a nightmare person who is badly behaved in the dating world, what you want to do, you want to be like a lawyer. You want to be cool as a cucumber. You state the facts. You don't put your emotion in it. You go, you did A, B, and C, and then I must retreat.
And out. I'm out.
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 And on that note,
Okay. Boom, 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 boom. Done.
on that
And
note,
there's like, and I swear to God, I'm just gonna tell you, by the Karla advice, it works. They're perplexed. It's just like, they're like, what? Like, you're not freaking out? Like, what? You're not like flipping out? Like, they're like confused. They're like, what's going on? It's amazing. You do that. Do that. Listen to her.
Carla, you've been brilliant. Let's so until then, we'll see you.
Until next time, dating advice and politics for us.
Bye everyone. Bye.